one of the most significant scholars in biblical history is Julius Wellhausen. Wellhausen published his Prolegomena to the History of Israel in 1878. In this book, he clearly laid out a comprehensive theory for the composition of the Pentateuch. So he actually listed out how he believed the Pentateuch came together. He clearly identified 4 different sources at work within the text. Those 4 sources are the J source, which he used to substitute for the Yahwist, because J's make Y sounds in German. He saw the J source as the oldest, and the narratives in the J source always use God's personal name. So you see Yahweh used whenever you talk about God. The Holy Mountain is Mount Sinai, and God, whenever God is spoken of, is usually spoken of in anthropomorphic language. So God is walking and shaping and forming, etc. The second source he identified was the Elohist source, which he identified with an E. The Elohist is of northern origin. The narratives use the word Elohim, or God, the very generic God. And there's an emphasis on prophetic speech, and the Holy Mountain is Mount Horeb instead of Mount Sinai. The third source he saw was the Deuteronomist, who focuses primarily on the shrine in Jerusalem, more or less the book of Deuteronomy, and probably the editor of Joshua to 2nd Kings. And his last source was the priestly source, which he used as a P, which emphasized the cultic, so liked references to days of the week and holidays and genealogies and worship and Sabbath, etc., and the ways in which you would do the kind of worship in Leviticus that you would see there. Now, I should point out that this source, this comprehensive source of Wellhausen's, was incredibly influential over the next 120 years. It was significant. Even the individuals that disagreed with him tended to follow some of his ideas and disagreeing with him. He was a major source critic. This theory came to be known as the documentary hypothesis, and was a very interesting, very influential theory. Now, I should say, no one really holds to Wellhausen's theories today. In the past 140 years, it has been modified significantly. People don't necessarily agree on his dates. They don't necessarily agree on his sources. They think some things are conflated that he saw as separate. But again, his influence was incredibly profound on biblical scholarship, and in many ways shaped the way in which people were looking at the text after that.